And I would like now to move straight along and introduce Jay Butler, who is our last speaker. Jay will be talking on empowering communities, increasing biodiversity, and growing the economy. Jay.
Thank you. Afternoon, everyone. Hope everyone can hear me okay. Yeah, it's a privilege to be speaking here today. And kind of one of the first things I'd like to say is I've been gobsmacked by the talks we've had so far. It's been really inspiring, incredibly interesting. So my perspective is looking at communities and looking at biodiversity and looking at how we actually link these elements together to make something that is incredibly powerful. So, in terms of sort of millennia in history, we have been beguiled, I would say, by the marine environment literally for millennia. It has engaged us in every different way, in every different form, and in every different phase of development. Frances said this morning in her talk about the emotional bond between people and place. I really resonate with that. I think it's hugely important, and we shouldn't underestimate the intensely felt emotional bond that people have for a place, particularly a coastal place. So what's the importance of designing with nature? So coastal areas are amongst the most productive, the most diverse ecosystems that we have on this planet. Everyone knows that. We've all been talking about it all day, but it's worth saying it again. Nature's got, I say it as ever-changing moods, because it does. And it supports an unbelievable number of livelihoods. And we have within the coastal environment, we've got seas that have got the longest, the smallest, the largest, the hottest, the coldest. I could go on. Incredible. I mean, we have a diversity of species of animals within the marine environment that is eye-popping, really. And the activity that we have been, the strain that we've been putting on the marine environment for quite a large number of years has been threatening this incredibly vital and life-giving ecosystem. Again, I'm not saying anything new. I know everyone in the room knows that. But it really is important to kind of home in. So if we're talking about coastal communities per se, if you think about the number of things that the coast gives us, so it looks after us, it protects us, it connects us, it gives us aquaculture, it gives us, when you're talking world, like globally, it gives us things like oxygen, it gives us medicine, it gives us food, it regulates our climate, and it, of course, gives us biodiversity, which is incredible. These kind of, if you stop and think about the number of livelihoods, so it's not just fishing, it's people, it's artists, it's a whole genre of people that rely on the sea for different reasons, and that love the sea and have this intense sense of place and connection to their environment, which we see a lot. And I would suggest, I'm a great advocate of renewables. I'm a very, very, I believe, offshore wind is the future. And one of the biggest problems that local communities have with offshore wind is the effect they perceive it has on nature, on the natural world. If you look at the economic value, we've got, the list is just endless. There are so many different ways in which the marine environment brings a positive impact economically to those coastal communities that live within that area. Extrapolate that, and it's worth literally billions to the economy of the UK, Ireland, Scotland, Wales. So you can't overestimate it. It is absolutely enormous. So that, in one sense, is probably one of the most important things. Nature finance, this was picked up a little earlier on this morning, and again, it's a huge opportunity. We've got all of this is going on, and we've got all these threats and all these anxieties about what's actually happening to our marine environment, and yet a massive 70% of our Earth is covered by ocean. Of that 70%, 25% is absorbance of carbon that the marine environment provides us. That's huge. That's absolutely massive. It's more than all our rainforests. How many people have seen the Edinburgh film? I'm sure loads of people here. Yeah? Okay, so, I don't really need to say any more. That was punchy and powerful, and yeah. Earlier on, we were talking about seeding. Again, absolutely agree. There are ways that non-native species, in terms of offshore structures, can be quite significantly important and detrimental. However, we can help this. We can do something differently. We can create an environment. We can look at creating these structures in offshore wind in every infrastructure that we develop, whether it's offshore wind, whether it's substations, whether it's decommissioning oil and gas. But primarily, if we're building something, we need to put nature first. We have this incredible ability to do this now. We can do it here. We can do it now. We need the research. We need to understand what we're doing, why we're doing it, how we can do it better. But every single structure should be designed, first and foremost, right from the very, very beginning with nature in mind. And to say, okay, what can we do? What structures can we put in place? There's so many possibilities. And it's not just about increasing biodiversity. It's about reducing our carbon footprint. It's about reducing the carbon footprint of the project, which has got to be good for the developer, because, like it or not, we've all got to reach net zero. Otherwise, we're goosed, everyone. So if you look at the potential, it goes from sort of the ordinary and the expected, the predictable, yes, let's get these reefs, let's get them in, let's look at scar protection, let's see what we can do, let's try and make it plastic neutral, let's try and make it carbon free, let's try and make it recyclable, let's try and make it something that is good in a circular economy concept. But also, we could do things really differently. How do we get people to really engage with offshore wind? How do we get people to really engage with looking beneath the seas? My colleague Maria touched on this earlier, and there is, I believe, a huge potential in terms of actually using camera footage to beam back to land, to have restaurants, to have aquariums, to have schools, to have centres of excellence. There are all sorts of things we can do. How great would that be to actually sit down, have a coffee, and look at an amazing reef? Look at the biogenics. Look at what's happening there. I mean, that's kind of pretty cool thing to be able to do, I would suggest. I'd love it. And in terms of schools and education, if you're using the AI and you're using cameras, and I've seen firsthand, particularly on onshore wind, that I've developed a bit of onshore wind, and I've used bird box cameras, and the effect it has on communities is quite astounding. What we're looking at here is a way of engaging people, recognizing the importance of the sense of place is to a community, and being able to turn that around to say, we can do something really good here, bringing the communities with us. We can make it exciting, we can make it inspirational, we can turn everything on its head and actually, why don't we look at underwater restaurants? Been done before. There are lots of wind farms. I developed the Aberdeen offshore wind farm. I was the development manager for that. It's very close to shore. There's all sorts of really incredible things we could potentially do if we just, I suppose, the first thing is think differently. The second thing is think collaboratively. And that's one of the reasons why I have found being here with this group of people and hearing the talks that are being given has been actually so inspiring, because there is so much we can do and it's all there for us to do it. We just need to work together and to actually, make it happen. So if we're looking at artificial reefs, think about it as a pantry. So it's not just the marine species, it's not just the larger species, it's not just the corals, everything that starts to populate these amazing reefs. It's also the fact that you get the likes of sand eels for these little guys. So it's the lovely circularity of it. And it's the fact that it's not just saying, let's look under the water, let's look on the land as well, and let's look at the species we love so much. These are iconic birds, everyone loves them. So you've got crustaceans, you've got cod, you've got things that are good for fishing, you've got whales that everybody loves because they're just charismatic, stunning creatures, and seals. And then you've got, the likes of puffins. So it's sort of everything. Murray was talking about coral, and I was amazed to find a colleague of mine pointed me to a paper about a Devonshire cup coral. I'm not even going to try and say it in Latin, but anyway. It was found on a wreck in the Dogger Bank. Dogger Bank, as I don't know if you know or not, but it's complete sandbank, so it's devoid of anything. And yet there was a wreck there, and some years after the swim farm had been developed, this coral, this Devonshire cup coral, this cold coral, has started to grow. I mean, that is amazing, truly exciting, and it shows there's everything to play for. It's a great place to be and a great time to be here. And thank you all for listening.